Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to your coffee, your cup of coffee with Mary May, leadership strategist, where we're going to talk about some leadership nuggets this morning. But before making any decision, make sure you have a cup of coffee or tea. So I have my coffee. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. I just realized something that I forgot to do. Okay. So, good morning. My name is Mary May. I am a leadership strategist, and every Tuesday I come before you and share just various challenges leaders have in leveling up and working through their career. Um, in regards to how it is that they want to be promoted and well paid. So, the first thing to always congratulate and think of ourselves is that people who are leaders, who are naturally fit to be a leader, you're a problem solver, you develop strategies, you figure out what's getting in the way of progress and how things are being pulled away from. Um, in your career, you naturally fit into that space. So it's important to be mindful that you are a big thinker. And in being a big thinker, sometimes the strategies on how you come about different things weighs differently on you. So before I get in and start sharing around the nugget that's set for today, I want to make sure that you know that engagement is welcome. And I want to thank you if you are here with me live or even on the replay. Feel free to share this information with anyone who you think it will be beneficial. And I have a free gift for anyone who goes to workwithmarymay.com. So I want to welcome you this morning with your cup of coffee. And I want to kind of set the stage in regards to how the conversation for today came to be and talking about microwave solutions in leadership. So, in thinking about microwave solutions in leadership, um, the world that we live in right now has been very, very challenging. And the challenges that we experience and receive both in life, in relationships, and career are never created like overnight. And so when you think about how they're not created overnight, they definitely could not come from a perspective of putting something in the microwave and having a done for you type strategy or done for you type meal or anything like that. So when you think about when what can you make in a microwave that will satisfy you the same way that it was something that you made in the oven or kind of strategized and did over a course of a couple of days that will be more sustaining is not a brushstroke of something very, very light. And then when you layer it in with how people may have interacted with you that didn't like kind of set well with you, or how it seems like, okay, these things are always happening connected to you or always challenging you in different ways, then you have to think about what is it and how is it did you give space or give permission for those things to kind of exist and develop. And then also thinking about what is it that puts you on pause? So when you think about a microwave solution, you think about you're acknowledging a problem because remember I just said as leaders, we are big thinkers. We problem solve, we kind of think of it in a larger perspective, but we often miss out on the opportunity to identify how it is that we show up for ourselves on a day-to-day basis. And so one of the things that I was thinking about in trying to create a metaphor to match a microwave situation or a microwave solution versus the manifestation of how things kind of develop and we end up losing sight. So you think about that clutter in a corner or clutter in a space, wherever it is. over time, you have placed items in that same room, in that same space, and one day you look up and it's bothering you, it's irritating you. It's like, okay, something has to be done. So in thinking about what has to be done, you begin to say, okay, how can I figure out the next steps? When can I attack that corner? What how did the corner manifest? And you think about, it's probably been the last couple weeks of your life has been so hectic, so busy. You just come in and dump right to that corner. And then all of a sudden you're trying to figure out, okay, I need to get rid of this clutter because this clutter is creating it where I can't think clearly, where I have challenges in being able to kind of just see what my next moment is. So that clutter becomes the focus versus the intentionality of how it is that you can resolve what these leadership challenges are. So, professionally, how that can show up is where you have had some accommodations in these uncharted territory, and the way the work is, today in society, some people are hybrid, some people working from home, some people have been required to return back to the office. But during the past 2 years, there may have been some accommodations that was put in place for you that changes the framework of the demand and your ability to be productive as a leader, to answer the call and resolve the problems the way that you have once before. And so if you are still working from the accommodated standpoint, then the accommodated standpoint is not you being at your 100% level of productivity for that next promotion. So when the promotion comes, you're not thinking about how you have had opportunities or spaces where you may have had some accommodations with schedule, you may have had accommodations with workload. Some people may not have returned to the workspace. So then therefore it requires you to expand your capacity in a space where you're expanding the capacity, you're doing your job, you're doing their job. You believe that because you have done all of these different responsibilities, all these different tasks, that you should have been seen. You should not have been overlooked. You should have, the leaders who would promote you should be aware of that, the fact that you have the skill set not only to do your job and not only to answer the problems that come across your desk, but also to those challenges and things that impact the team and the people and the customer of whom you serve. So the thing is that we think about the right now challenge, and we never think about how these things came to be. And when you think about how they came to be in regards to the history of it or the challenges of it, sometimes we end up having our head in the sand when we're in a meeting and a statement is made around the promotion or the activity or productivity that we are doing or perceived to not be doing. And so when you look at the longevity of your position and how it is that you are prepared for the promotion, you have not only limited the framework of what you can do, and yes, you're doing everything, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're trying to figure out how to put all of these puzzle pieces together of your job, the jobs of others, accommodate what the world is doing in different ways and how that's impacting you on a day-to-day basis, that you're like, well, why can't they see what it is that I'm doing? But then when the promotion comes and you get passed over and not considered, then another energy comes into the conversation, an energy where you may feel entitled. You may feel like they don't see my skill, like it's on my resume. You've seen my work. You've seen I've been able to do it. But what is behind the microwave, or what is behind your leadership that is communicating you in a way that you're being appearing that you are not prepared for that leveling up in that permission or in that promotion. So the handcuffs that you end up limiting with is the limits that you have placed on your beliefs and your mindset within that workspace that capture you to not be in a position to level up and be in that promotion that you're looking for. So one of my coaches used the metaphor of a 2 millimeter shift. So in a 2 millimeter shift, sometimes we have to begin to look at the mirror of how we begin to limit ourselves and how it is that we begin to assume liberties based on accommodations, but not necessarily within our job description, that indicate that we need to make a 2 millimeter shift. So I'm like, 2 millimeter shift. You don't know what that means. 2 millimeter shift means, where is it that you have come to the place of believing that you are entitled for the promotion? Where is it that you feel that there should have been no question in regards to the next person up for the promotion would have only been you, because of you've covered for other team members, you've done everything that they've asked, you've done the extra task, you stayed late, all of these things you feel are appropriate and should be taken in consideration. However, the way that you have taken on these different things were not manifested in a microwave. They were not manifested in they manifested over time, and how you began to undo the different skill set that you have. Yes, you answered their call. Yes, you did what it was that was needed. However, you end up placing yourself in a position where now they feel like they could just dump on you. And that 2 millimeter shift is, how are you limiting yourself in your growth and your capacity, that you are having challenges overall. And in having those challenges overall, good morning, Nat. And having those challenges overall, it's like, what ways can we release the handcuffs? Now, some people don't like the word handcuffs, but the handcuffs is a literal term, and it's a literal term in regards to what is keeping you stuck. What is keeping you, feeling as if you can't level up into your career because people are not seeing you. You are being overlooked. You are being passed over. You are not being considered for the next thing. The most important thing, while we have the reset of the country, of your workspace, your life, your career, and this promotion that you're seeking, is that you are responsible for you. You are entitled for looking at, okay, what is it that I have done or become very comfortable and complacent with, as far as in helping? Yes, you're helping the team, but in helping the team, are you sacrificing the opportunity that you have to level up? Or is it possible that the reset that is needed is that you need to take a break away from the particular workspace so that you could be able to reframe how it is that you are able to perform? You may be so fatigued at doing everything to make sure all the fires are out, because as a leader, you're that big thinker and you see the framework moving forward. However, sometimes when you have to take your head out of the sand and when you need to do the reset, you have to look at and hold yourself accountable with affirmation that you might need. You become comfortable, you've cut corners, you've not been the 100% version of yourself at the job, and you know it. But the only way to do this is to kind of take yourself out of the mix, to take yourself out of the mix in the sense that you create a reset. Sometimes we have to reset those microwave intentionalities and those microwave thoughts and those microwave quick fixes that we have, because who you are not at 100% has been rubbed the wrong way, has been felt like you put on the shelf, has been felt like you've been dumped on, has felt like, why is it that I've gotten comfortable nowhere else? I can't go anywhere else. Those are all those 2 millimeter shifts that are not serving you well. However, you rehearse and recreate them on a day-to-day basis, that ends up creating that opportunity where it's challenging to redeem how it is that you want to be as a leader. So when you think about the handcuffs and you think about the limits that it has, the reset that you would need is to make sure that you improve your awareness of how you become comfortable, where you have cut corners, because again, you're doing not only your job, you're doing the job of those who have not been able to successfully return to the capacity that they once were prior to 2020's experiences. And you have to begin to reset and think about, what have you sacrificed of yourself that may not be appealing on the other side of that leadership table? And so when you look at the clutter, remember we used the example earlier, when you look at that corner where it's the clutter, where can you reorganize that clutter? How can you change the behavior that the clutter doesn't become a comfortable keepsake, that every time you come in, you have to dump stuff in this space and you just dump, dump, and dump? Aren't people coming to your office or to your phone or to your emails and just dump, dump, and dumping? And you're continuing to say, okay, they've dumped it. It must be my responsibility. Somebody has to do it. But why does that somebody always have to be you? And why does that somebody have to have the limitations that are placed upon themselves unapologetically? So it's like, when you understand that you have a gift in making a 2 millimeter shift, as well as you understand your purpose in leadership. Your purpose in leadership may or may not be where it is that you're trying to level up. That might be one insight. That might be one barrier. Because if they have helped you create this clutter of your professionalism and your strategy and your skill set and your big thinking to be overcapacitated without support, and haven't prioritized the support that is needed, or you haven't been able to create it, there are some barriers and blind spots that have been put into the way that become very obsessed with your growth. But the real challenge is, with the gift of knowing what those 2 millimeter shifts are, is how can you redefine and understand your purpose in your leadership role without putting a band-aid as the solution, or temporary fix as the solution? Because the temporary fix, be it a band-aid or something that's just covering it up really, really quickly, you are going to end up missing the mark in regards to how it is that the 2 millimeter shift and staying comfortable and allowing them to create the clutter in your mind is the limitations that you are setting upon yourself. So when you think about limitations, limitations are only in your imagination. Limitations are only handcuffs by your creation. Limitations are only stopping you from leveling up because of the 2 millimeter shift of where you have become so comfortable and just status quo and just doing the bare least to get the most. And it's like the most would be you getting that promotion and being well paid and promoted and being able to create the life that you desire and deserve on your own terms. But if limitation is only in your imagination, why would you want to create such limits for yourself? And in understanding the limits that you create for yourself, it's like, why would you want a microwave to be preparing what is for you in that long-term sustainability? So when you think about those recipes that you have that take all day long to manifest and nurture your growth and manifest and nurture your wellness, you have to think about, how is it that you also need to make sure that you're not doing a microwave band-aid solution just to fix it in the now, but how you fix it be the long game? How can it be framed where you're not burnt out, you're able to do a reset, you're able to remove yourself successfully from the situation with a vacation, with a wellness break, or whatever it is that you want to call it, so that you can now reposition yourself in a way that you are more productive, not only for yourself, but that you can hold yourself accountable and recognizing where you have become comfortable and possibly too comfortable with some of the accommodations that have been put before us throughout these unprecedented times in business. So being able to go back to the office, or being able to, be at your 100% that everybody else expects, is not just something you could just jive and jump right back into. So, as you take in consideration and take in personal inventory on how you have been impacted, what accommodations have been made for you during this time of the past 2 years, what part of those accommodations can you make a shift? What part of those accommodations can you recognize and acknowledge the personal inventory and the personal development that is needed for yourself? And then what in your mind, in your actions, and in your productivity can you also reposition yourself that those 2 millimeter shifts that have been placed upon you, that you take more honorable action for yourself, and recognizing how can I get on the right track of clarity. So it's like in thinking of moving forward, what is your microwave thought process, or what is your microwave challenges that has you in a stagnant place at this time? What is it that has you where you are thinking that you want to move and project and move forward, but what's in the way of your 2 millimeter shift? Because that one, two, possibly more than two things that you would need to make a shift, once you get clarity on those blind spots and once you identify where those barriers are of where we become comfortable, because comfortable friendship is working for me right now. What's working for you right now is only a temporary solution. It was only put in place because of responding to the situation that was at hand. It wasn't the forever plan. So if you've gotten comfortable with a microwave solution, an accommodation that has been put in place based on how you're working hybrid, how you are working other people's positions and covering the slack, those things were all supposed to be temporary. And the only voice that's going to advocate for the temporary to be a sustainable solution is to begin to move from behind the microwave, move from behind those limiting beliefs, begin to create a strategy where you reset and recover how it is that you could sustain as a leader and sustain in your voice. So, what's in your microwave thinking? These are the nuggets that I wanted to share with you today, and making sure that you know that whatever situation is happening with the return to work, with the people who are not returning, but their job still needs to be done, and you're stepping up to the plate and doing that, but your goal is still with the intentions that you would like to be promoted and well paid versus overlooked and not seen. And so, to avoid not being overlooked and to show up in your 100% that will get you there, sometimes we got to make those 2 millimeter shifts that's going to help us navigate the territory so that we can excel in a much more successful place. So I would like to open the internet floor for you to ask of any questions that you may have in regards to some of the nuggets that have been shared in today's conversation. And I look forward to like what your feedback is in regards to that. So what are your thoughts? What are some of the barriers or possible 2 millimeter shifts or 2 millimeter, limitations that you have self-imposed within the strategy and within the structure, allowing that clutter that has manifested over time, clutter of more responsibilities, taking on more things, covering not only for your role but for other people's role. What is it that is the residue that a microwave solution may be the answer right now, but that long sustainable plan takes a different type of investment. It takes a different type of investment in understanding how it is that you can be the successful leader, how you could be the successful individual, not only in your career, but it will also carry over to your life and in your relationships outside of that, because your stress level, your capacity, your shortness of temper, your ability to be clear on your goals and your strategy will begin to layer across all things, making it more amenable and more like not comfortable, but more successful for you, where the band-aid can be ripped off. You can walk unapologetically into uncomfortable space, knowing that it has an intention and a purpose for you to begin to play at your ambition and higher, and knowing what your true value and your worth is. The challenge comes with when you walk into that conference room or when you walk into the room with leadership, do you default to a younger version of yourself where confidence was not well together, that you felt comfortable enough or in a position that you can ask for whatever it was that you needed, be it the promotion, be it the pay raise, be it the next level up or the transfer to another department, unapologetically. But something happens in that 2 millimeter shift that you say, okay, well, you know what? I was going to make a full dinner in the oven that was going to be sustainable, but I'm just going to go grab this quick meal, get this quick fix, and just do what they say and just keep doing what they say because, and whatever the because answer is that you have after that. So one of the comments over here on IG, and thank you for rocking it out with me, is that it's very easy to become complacent working from home, and it's very easy to lose tunnel vision to accommodate others' demands. It's important to have introspection. Definitely important to always have that perspective where you, it's like, okay, yes, in some certain situations, we may be called to walk through and step into different situations to be the team player, but just don't get stuck in that lane and don't get stuck in that particular space. So Nat, great way to, she says she needs to revamp her goals and her strategy to where she see herself going. And she says she's going to rewatch this again. Thank you so much, Net. I look forward to serving you and talking with you soon. Um, Another friend said she think a healthy step is to acknowledge by spreading yourself too thin, you are not giving any quality to anything that you focus on. Absolutely not. So that's another way in which we believe that, oh, well, we're doing all of these things. They should see that I'm capable for the promotion or my longevity in this particular space, but not necessarily the case. So when I say not necessarily the case, they're getting what they need as far as the bottom line and getting the job done, but you are wearing yourself thin to where your capacity and your skill set of being able to level up becomes erased by the sense that they can just pay you at the rate that you are and get that other job done versus you demanding with conviction and authority that you deserve more. Now, what happens is that where else in your life can you demand with authority and conviction that you are more than capable and more than deserving and not have butterflies in your stomach or not feel some unease in your chest or not feel like, oh, they're going to question if I have this certification or that? You already have every skill necessary for the promotion at hand. Yes, you have demonstrated that, but you have also have to engineer backwards to say, what can I do differently? How can I make a 2 millimeter shift so that my value is known and that I don't put those handcuffs on myself and have challenges moving forward? So, good morning, IC. So, advocating for more professional development when a team member may not be pulling their weight, causing you not to level up or be your best position, as in for a new hire. So, I got a couple things about another team member not pulling their weight. That may be very accurate. But the other part about a coworker not being able to be at the capacity that is desired is we never know what limitations or accommodations are being put in place for them, because there may be some things that we're just not aware of. So we spend a lot of time on what the other team member is not doing versus how can we resolve the conflict? How can we resolve the issue and begin to communicate with a strategy that's going to help resolve the overarching issue? So be mindful not to get stuck. That would be a 2 millimeter shift, is that you have the skill to recognize that one person's capacity is not at the level that it should be, but don't get stuck at what you have to do that's extra, or getting stuck at what you have to do that is at a deficient to another person on the team. As a team, they say together everyone achieves more, but our goal in this conversation is what 2 millimeter shifts is keeping you stuck. What is creating your limitations? How is it that your ability to level up successfully being manipulated or being consumed by not being able to look at in the mirror personal development, personal accountability? So those 2 millimeter shifts can easily get distracted by the external things. Job asking you to come back to the office full time, you don't want to come back to the office full time. Certain things, certain accommodations or too many emails before 7 a.m. You're like, okay, you having the boundary that your work day starts at 9, you don't begin checking emails until maybe 8:45. You know what your responsibilities are. Just because the email came in at 7 doesn't require that you show up to work earlier. Don't overextend yourself if you don't have to. Um, So yes, somebody might say, "Well, I've been at this job longer, and so I automatically should get the promotion." Not necessarily the case. Not necessarily the case in the sense that um, just because you have been there on the calendar time long does not equal capacity and quality of your work. So you have to be mindful how you strategize forward. And again, playing with people at your ambition level and higher. If they're on your team, you may be qualified both to move forward at the same level, but then sometimes if they're on your team, your responsibility is to level them up so that you can have somebody already in position when you begin to get that charge to move forward. So it's like being prepared and positioning yourselves accordingly so that you can be effective in how it is that you are prepared. So if there's no other comments or questions, I do thank you all for being here live on a Tuesday morning with the cup of coffee leadership nuggets with your girl Mary May. And if you have been enlightened, empowered, made aware of something that you didn't think of before, you definitely can grow. Wait, I see somebody's comment. And you could definitely figure out how it is that you can grow effectively by getting on my calendar and planning a time. So let me just say this: the breakthrough chat where you're doing a strategy session so that you can identify what the barriers and the blind spots is only the catalyst for your growth, and only the ability for you to identify where are some of the barriers and blind spots. Some people can take that and they can begin to implement that on their own. But then there's others who identify that they may need some additional support side by side. And that additional support side by side, because it's not going to be an easy journey, and it's not going to be something that you can easily like just implement on your own, because if you could have, you would have done it already. So that is where the next level conversation comes in. But the breakthrough strategy chat is open and available to anyone. And then we can determine if you are a great fit for the leadership blueprint that comes beyond that. Someone has said a coworker not pulling their weight is definitely an issue, especially when they feel that they are working to their max, but they're only doing the bare minimum, and then you have to cover their work. So again, really just knowing the strategies in regards to how it is that you show up and how it is that you allow yourselves to be positioned in a certain way. By no means am I suggesting to not do what capacity that you have for that project to have the success that it needs to have. But the thing is that you have to realize that if you're ready to grow and you're ready to go from being passed over to promoted and well paid, that it's going to take some work, and it's going to take you peeling back the layers and knowing what is the 2 millimeter shifts that's a barrier and a blind spot for me in my everyday interactions, in my everyday situations. And last week I had shared that anxiety was the boss of, some of the decisions that people make. And I do have a workshop coming up in regards to identifying who is anxiety for you in your life and where is the root cause of it, of the behaviors, the actions, and the thinking that also could play a part in these 2 millimeter shifts that we're talking about today. That group starts on June the 6th. So if anybody is interested in that, from a virtual platform, you could definitely go to tinyurl/beat anxiety to get a registration form and be able to go from there. But otherwise, I thank you for being able to join me again for another Tuesday morning chat. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for the live conversation. Thank you for those who catch us on the replay. We're here to serve you, your leadership strategist, to be able to get you from being passed over to promoted and well paid. What are those 2 millimeter shifts that you would benefit from to help you to be able to grow to getting to that level and much, much more? I look forward to serving you on the other side, and you have a great Tuesday, great Tuesday, and the rest of your week. I will see you all next week. Take care.